Alright, welcome back. This is MDawg. And if you'll permit me, before we start talking about fishing Barents Sea, let me give a quick channel update. I'm just in one of those places in terms of my streaming habits and games that I'm into where there just hasn't been as many opportunities to upload YouTube videos. I've been playing a lot of MMOs, mostly Final Fantasy 14 and a little bit of Lord of the Rings Online, which with Final Fantasy 14, I just haven't been playing it long enough to feel confident in making videos. So I don't know what that looks like moving forward. I did play a little bit of this lately, fishing Barents Sea, and because of that, I figured, you know what, let's just do, in case people are interested in this game and haven't checked it out yet, let's just do a little quick introduction to the game video. But I do anticipate, I'm kind of waiting to see what the next update's going to be for Rushing Fishing 4. Always kind of have an eye on seeing what Fishing Planet's up to, although kind of played that for a while recently and bounced off pretty hard. So I think I'm more sort of anticipating what RF4 might do next in terms of fishing games. But let's look at a couple things here. If you haven't ever played this before, this is quite a good little game. I mean, it is... it can be a little bit of a lonely experience if I was going to sort of talk about some of the cons to the game, especially if you're coming from some of those multiplayer fishing games. But what this game does, it does well. You can see we're in this little boat here. I started a career over. I had played this game in the past, but wanted to just start fresh, and so that's what we've done. I do have the crab DLC installed, but haven't tried that yet. So once we get to the point of going after the crab, I will show you that. Let's first look at the boats. I mean, one of the big upgrades you're making is changing your boats. This is the nice old boat that you start with. Sorry about that. Whenever I start making a video soon after I've turned the computer on, I never know what's going to pop up. And so this is what you start off in, and really the downside of it is going to be its speed. There's some other downsides as well. I did switch to the Yazzie pretty quick just so I could move around a little faster, unlocking more advanced license for your boat driving, which allows you to have access to future boats, requires you to drive certain distances. And because the engine starts off so much faster with this boat, that was sort of a natural thing to upgrade. There are other things. I think this one is actually, or maybe it's this one. Yeah, it's the selfie. This is one of the ones that came with the crab DLC. And you can see this one's more set up for a small king crab operation. So this one costs, just to give you an example, 450,000. What is that, kroner? Whatever the local currency would be here. And so we have 220,000. I've not taken any loans yet. We've just kind of been grinding away fishing in our little boat. But I think we'll probably move to this boat next. You can do long lines and nets off of this one as well. So when it's out of crab season, you could still have some options. But anyway, if you don't have the crab DLC, this boat won't be available to you. Same with, I bet it's this one. In fact, it might be both of these. I'd have to look what came with the crab. So this was the, oh, this is definitely king crab. I got you. So it's the Svalbard has the king crab quota, which is, and that's just a nice big old boat. But the boat price you see is 4.5 million kroner, so that's pretty expensive. But anyway, so what we are still in is this little Yazzie. Again, because of the boat we're in, we're not able to have crew yet. Let's see, when we go to the, it always tells you how many additional crew you can have. So this one allows you one more crew, this small. But then if we do go to this one, again, additional crew one. And so at that point you can get into some of the crew management stuff, which in this playthrough at least I haven't gotten to yet. But I'm okay with that. I really want to just kind of see what, and here's our little boat, see what some of the basics of the gameplay were like, because it had been so long for me. There's a lot of upgrades you can do. So we've fully done the storage upgrade so we can keep more fish on boat, be a little more efficient on going out back and forth, picking up the fish. And then we've done the first of the fishing quota updates to give us a little bit more fish for the... Actually, this might be the default one. And then this would be the first one, which costs 300,000 kroner. So anyway, all right, so that's the boat upgrades. Let's also look, I mean, there's a lot of different options here. Let's also look at the fish market, though. This is where you can check and see how much fish and crab are selling for. This is where you set up if you're using long lines, which you will be in the beginning, and that's all we've done during this career playthrough, so that's all we'll be talking about today. We've got 2 baited long lines in our boat. You can have up to 4 with this boat. And so we've got 2 on the boat, so that means we've probably got 2 out here in the water. If you look at the map, you can see we've got one here that's been soaking for 18 hours, so we can head out to that and it should be ready. And we've got one that's only been out for 7 hours and 30 minutes. You can look at hotspots where fish are showing up. The season is changing, and so these spots that we were using are getting less and less activity. So we're going to be picking this one up. We may get one more string down in this spot, but we're going to have to move farther out, either out around this, on the other side of this island, or even just out farther, which in our little boat, we just haven't explored that far yet very much. We did drop one here, and we could probably drop another one here and just see how things change as the weather changes. That's one of the nice things is as the days go by, weeks, months go by, the weather does impact where the fish are located. Cod is maybe going out of season. So we've got more and more haddock, pollock, and then some redfish. So that's one thing that's cool to look at by fish species. If we do put at least one string up here, we can get a little more redfish. And then if we go back to the fish market, we can check prices on redfish. And one of the things I do like about this game is they have a really nice log book. You can see what current season you're in, any events, jobs that you've taken. You can look at your gear. Right now we've been using all shrimp in terms of baited on our long lines. Sales, how much we've sold. Let's see. This is the most recent time we came in, it looks like. I'm not sure that you can go back. Yes, you can. Okay, that's cool. And so I haven't done this yet. I mean, you could get pretty deep in terms of really checking to see which spots actually are landing you the most revenue. But these are all of the fishing trips we've had where we've come back in. And then here's the certification I was telling you about. So we need to progress from... We're at 40.2 kilometers. We need to get to 120 kilometers to unlock our next boat. Now, the trick is you only get, and we're going to go ahead and go fishing here. You only get credit for distance traveled when you're manually doing it. In other words, fast traveling does not count. I think I'm going to turn the in-game sound down a little bit, just because this boat, compared to some of the other ones, actually is pretty loud with the outboard motor. So let's go to options here. I already have it down pretty far, but we're going to go even farther just so that I don't feel like I'm yelling. But so we are manually driving the boat right now. I do like to do a lot in first person, but you only get credit towards your license when you are manually driving. So, I've been doing, when I'm not doing this, of course, the other thing you can do is fast travel. And honestly, I've done a lot of fast travel once I unlock the next tier of license, because eventually we'll get into boats that just have a good bit more speed, or even if we upgrade this boat to have more speed. But it's nice because the different controls allow we can actually move around in the boat. So, the boat's kind of driving as we left it. You can do things manually as it comes up. So in terms of immersion, I like the option of just really doing a lot of stuff in first person. It seems really nice, even down to controlling all the different lights. It is light, it is dark, so we'll switch on all the lights, and then you can go back into third person and kind of take a look. It's not quite dark enough for the lights to show up like they will when it's nighttime, but so let's go to map again. We are going to head towards here. We're going to be getting these slightly early. You kind of want 20 plus hours on the soak, but you can see the fish are just not here. I mean, there's been a change in fish location, migration, or whatever since we actually set those. The spot was much better when we first set these 20 hours ago. But we're going to go pick those up. Are we gonna put one more here? I think we will. So if we're gonna place one more line here, what we can do is go place that first, and then that'll give the other line a little bit more time to. This boat is like, this boat actually makes me want to use a controller to drive. I don't feel that way on the other boats, but this one is just more sensitive. So kind of it's back and forth a little bit more. So this is what you're doing a lot of in this game. Just to be honest, if you want to build up your certification, you know, or if you just want to have a lot of immersion, you know, it's a lot of driving back and forth. For now, we're just dealing with long lines. It does have several different types of fishing in it. And once I get to the point of trying the king crab especially, I will try to make a video just about that. But this one's just going to be about sort of the early game, first few days of fishing. This is sort of what you're going to be doing. They do have a lot of cool controls down here. I like the information they give you. Especially if, let's say, you're in first person, you can actually toggle this between a map and a sonar, so you can see where the fish are manually by looking at your sonar. But down here you can adjust all the lights. This bottom row is actually changing what's in this square over here. So if you want to see the sonar, see the storage, line info can be really helpful to make sure you remember to bait your lines. We have 2 on board and 2 deployed. And it also shows you how long they've been deployed, so you can try to time it right. This game is a time management game as much as anything else. See the weather, which especially different points in the year can be pretty important. Alright, we're at our final waypoint. So let's go ahead and drop the gear here. So set gear, we're going to choose one of our long lines that does have shrimp baited on there. So there it goes. You can see that's a, I believe that's, well, let's see. Let's don't guess. Let's tell you accurately. Yeah, that's a 500 hook. But the length of it, I think it's 50 meters maybe? I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, we have set that gear. So now if we look at our line info, we now have 3 deployed, but one of them has just been deployed for 10 minutes. So that's about how fast time is going here. Okay, now we want to go over to here. So now I'm going to show you what fast travel's like. First, you place a waypoint down. We're going to put it like here. And then you literally just click fast time. Fast travel. And then you're there. So that's why it's really tempting to use the fast travel option. You can only fast travel to places that you've been before. And based on your radar upgrades, you may or may not be able to fast travel as far. But it's very convenient. And so now we're just going to set up this so I can show you what it's like to pick up line. And then maybe we'll go drop our last set of gear that has baited hooks on it, and then we'll go back to the market and turn those fish in, or turn these fish in that we're about to pick up. Oh, okay. I think my angle was wrong there. I don't always know. Let's see if we can get this right. We're a little close to it. So let's back up a little bit, and you got to make sure that like the front of the boat, see this is going to be a better angle. You got to make sure the front of the boat is not at all covering the line so that when you pull the gear up it doesn't get messed up. But I think we'll be able to get it this way. Kind of want the buoy to come right in the middle here. There we go. So we haul in the long line. By the way, a lot of these little mini games, they can get really repetitive. They're cool though. They've gotten better. Some of them aren't as annoying as they were when the game first came out. But when you have crew, you can get your crew to do a lot of these tasks. So about the time you're completely tired of doing a lot of these, you can get some relief, some assistance. But you can actually see the different types of fish. So each one of these fish that we're pulling on here represents different species, and and so based on what we pulled up, like we got a lot of pollock, a decent amount of cod. We only saw like one redfish or whatever. So that ends up sort of, that's how much weight that translates to. And then we also have to gut the fish. I don't remember. I think that gutting the fish used to be really annoying. I think this is the one that used to be really annoying, and they have improved how it works. So it's not as bad as it. Oh, you got to be careful. If you accidentally click in between like that, so we lost one opportunity, so we got to make sure the rest of them are decent. If you end up with an average, I think it's under 2 stars, at that point, the quality of your cutting is so bad, you actually would have been better to not cut at all and just to turn them in uncut. So we may have messed up a little bit there. All right, so let's go back to our map. I think we're going to go over here. This seemed like a really good spot, both for redfish as well as some of the other species. So we're going to fast travel over there. When you have fish on your boat like we do right now, it can be a little bit slower. So let's set this gear here. So you can see we only have about half of the total amount of weight we can have on this boat. We only have it about half full, a little less than half full maybe. But we also didn't have our long line in a very good spot for catching fish. So, all right, so we have dropped all of our gear. Well, now we need to head back to town, sell what we have picked up, and also rebait the 2 lines. Or I guess we just have 1 line. Yeah, we've only got 1 line on board because we've got 3 that are placed. We really want to bait one and maybe put it out here, to be honest. So let's go ahead and head back to town. And let's just manually drive around this island. And you can see that based on our speed, or you can probably just tell from looking at it, with being weighted down some, we don't go quite as fast. We've also got wind and rain that could be impacting our speed a little bit as well. You can't fast travel through land. So like we couldn't put a fast travel point or waypoint here, because that would involve the boat crossing land. It's always going to go a direct path. So what we'd have to do is actually do one to here, and then we could continue to here, and then to here. So that's how fast travel would work if we wanted to do it that way. I believe that you use more fuel when you fast travel. So in terms of a bottom line, you are not quite as efficient based on fuel cost if you use fast travel. But the real lifetime that it takes, especially with fish on board, unless you're just really into the immersion of it, you're probably going to want to fast travel a good bit at different times. So we only made 27,000. If you look back to most days, there's another 27. But, at some point we had smaller lines, and so we were definitely making less money. But, you see a 61,000 here, 55,000. I think that was 61,000 again. So when we have the lines in a good spot, we're making a pretty good amount. So that puts us up to 247,000 kroner. Now we do need to go to the fish market and rebait at least this one. So krill does really. So this is actually something I haven't noticed. I think I noticed it in the past, but it's been a while since I've seen it. We know that we're going to spots now where redfish is more of a thing, so we may want to switch to krill, or at least it might be worth experimenting with. So we'll put krill on one, and that's pretty much it. I think at this point I am going to save up for another boat, because I would like to get into crew management. So I'm trying not to do too many upgrades, even though a lot of this stuff is nice. So I showed you the boat upgrades. These are more of like your inventory upgrades, better binoculars, better knives, like higher quality knives, which gives you a bonus to your cut rating, which ultimately gives you more money. And then your hooks, you get nicer material, or hooks that are made of nicer material, and that actually changes the fish size, is the variable that addresses. So anyway, I think we'll wrap it up here. There are a lot of other things like hiring crew. You can borrow money from the bank, pick up jobs at the bar. There are boat services in terms of towing and that kind of stuff that you can also get into. But I think we'll save some of that for another video, especially, like I said, I think the next thing we may do is try to look at crab fishing in particular. I think a lot of people have had questions about the crab DLC that came out this past year, so we'll take a look at that. But as always, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'm going to call it here. Thanks again.